Well, let's share a cool story from the set because you almost killed our DP. Well, between you and me, it's probably more my fault. Almost killed him, but we had to do this sequence where you're running, where we got a POV shot of you running at the camera, and then at the last second swinging, so the sight went across the camera. And I was cueing you on all those, and the thing was that was it. You had a live weapon, and anything could have happened. But there was one take where you almost caught up to our DP, Robert W. Fillion, and killed him.
I couldn't see. I mean, I would have not been convicted in a court of law for killing him because I could not see. But there was a number of things. It was cold, so everything's a little numb. You know, up here you can't hear very well. My hand is covered in gore. I'm holding this weapon that could at any moment fly out of your hand, and you know, you have this mask, you have this burlap sack, and you're trying to look menacing, but you're right. I'm running, and I'm like, okay. I remember our conversation.
And you had to run over a puddle of blood.
Oh, and there was blood and slippery, and there was guts. I was slipping on intestine. It was incredible. But I remember going up and going, "You're gonna have to cue me," and you're like, "What?" I can't. I'm not gonna be able to see. If you want me charging, and I remember. No, you know, it was such panic because it was like, oh, good God, you know. But it was fun. There was not a moment where we didn't laugh, and I think that's a great sign of people who love their work, no matter how cold, how long, you know, the days be. It was incredible.
It was a brutal cold shoot. I knew it was going to be brutal. It was worse than I thought it would be, but I had an amazing casting crew. But the funny thing was, on that one swing, I had the split second in my head. I was like, he's too close. This is too late. I better call it swing now. So I was like, it's now or never. Instead of, it was either I call cut or I say swing. And I was like, swing! And it was probably the one we used because it looked brilliant.
And I remember as soon as it was done, like, thank God he did not take off a head or cut a throat. But I remember after everyone, it was, you know, sounds like, okay, back to one, whatever. And then I remember this one, it was, oh. So it was interesting. I think I went home and I was like, hey, I almost killed someone. Fantastic.
And Robert had to go change his shorts. But now we're going to talk a little bit about your work at MVP here today. Now it's kind of an interesting story. How did you first get hooked up with us?
I was actually looking on the internet for projects that I thought got back to what I thought horror is and should be. I wanted to just be able to lose myself in a genre that I love, and I found that a lot of movies that were coming out in the genre didn't have the kind of the passion, the drive that the movies I grew up with in the 80s and the early 90s, you know, that horror that really kind of made you scared of what was in the closet, what was behind the, you know, under the bed and all that stuff. And I stumbled upon, just by happenstance, your website, mutantbill.com, and after that I was looking through everything, and I saw little trailers and little clips, and I thought, you know what, I want to be a part of this. There's something about it that makes me realize all over again why I fell in love with the horror genre. And so I thought, well, you know what? I didn't want to sound arrogant, or I didn't want to overstep, but I wanted to write and say, this is who I am. I've been fortunate in my career. Can we play? Can we make something fun? That's how it worked.
That's exactly how it happened. It blew me away. The funny thing is, you know, you said you wanted to be involved, and at the time we were shooting Ghosts, and I replied to you and I said, well, you know, the movie's basically done, but I could possibly get you into it in a small way, and you were just like, yeah, I'm totally down for it.
Absolutely.
But the cool thing is that I had a part in mind that was very integral. Really, the catalyst for everything that happens in the movie revolves from your one scene, and it was something I always had in mind, and I wasn't sure if I was going to shoot it or not and reveal that much of the backstory. But then the opportunity came, and you just grabbed the bull by the horns and just wrestled it to the ground. The thing that I'm proud of, there's some spoilery things, so I'm gonna kind of lead you around this.
Sure.
But the thing about Matthew that blew me away was his professionalism, the way he studied and prepared for that role, and you went and learned. You phonetically learned Romanian. You learn
Romanian.
all your lines in Romanian. I wrote them in the script in English, mind you, but I put in parentheses, spoken in Romanian. And I thought, well, yeah, I'm the writer, the actor has to figure that out. And lo and behold, it's exactly what he went and did. And it was an amazing, really, really cool performance. And I think people are really going to dig it when they see it.
I hope so. I'm very proud of it. It was the first time, I think people tend to put dollar signs to projects. Like, well, it's going to be great because it's this much. I don't care if it's big budget, small budget. I want to treat each project as if it was $1 billion on my shoulders, because, what's the point? What's the point if you don't fight to earn everything that you're fortunate enough to get? And yeah, I did talk to a church, a priest at a church, and he was very kind, very humble. Did not really dig the source material, so that unfortunately did not work. But he was gracious about it. So then I thought, well, damn. But then I was able to meet a professor, and we sat down for hours. And I said, these are my lines. Could you walk baby steps through it? And we got together and we talked and learned it. And then he wrote each one down. But one of the lines was like "Poppy Trot New." Well, it's not. It's pronounced new, but it's not spelled like new. So he would go in and write it for like a child, So
Right.
And so I did it, but it was fun. I won't give away a look or anything, but it was fun to kind of be a chameleon for once, where it's not just blah, it's you're hidden, but very much there. And I loved the role. I loved everybody involved, and I hope people love it. I love it, and I guess that's what matters most. If you can walk away being proud of what you've done.
Well, your performance blew me away. I really enjoyed working with you, and I knew as soon as that happened, as soon as we shot that scene, that I thought, man, we've got to get Matthew in something else. So fortunately, Tales from Mutantville came along, stemming from our long story with the American Zombie Film Contest and Devil Comes Down, being stuck with a short movie that we didn't know what to do with, so we decided to do more and combine it all into an anthology. And lo and behold, we were able to get you into two more, where you got two very, very different roles to play. One being Indigo Child, in Indigo Child, the priest, Father McLennan, and then in Scarecrow at Midnight, you got to play Sawbones, where you're actually, probably for the first time in your career, completely hidden, and you just had to do everything with your body.
With Scarecrow, I embraced that. That was an exciting thing. When that possibility happened, I thought, how fun. It's not, I'm not gonna lie. We are in a profession where we're on screen. I don't mean it in a vanity way, but we want to look good. We want to feel like we're somehow appealing in a way. But to be able to not have to worry about hair and makeup, to be able to pull on a mask and work with just movement, I think it was incredible. I'll never forget. I hope I never do in my career. I remember being in the suit and thinking there's something missing that I'm not doing. And then I remembered going like this, and I was like, oh, okay. And you can rotate, and and all of a sudden it was like, I get what Mr. Hodder and Mr. Mears and Robert Englund, although he's, of course he speaks, but what they do with movement, and even Jeff Goldblum in The Fly, how, when he did the subtle twitches, it's like, that's brilliant, that's a great idea. What's under the mask? What lives there? And so I fully embraced that. It was nice to not have lines for once, and just to see if you could make a performance as grand as the ones with lines, but just through movement. Can you impact for being there for that kind of thing? And with Indigo was extremely interesting. I had an amazing time on it, but again, it's very much, how do you behave as a priest? I wasn't, I have my faith, but it's a personal thing, that I'll leave it at that. But how do you behave in such a way that can say, trust me, I'm here for you. It's not about anything other than giving in a way, and so it was, your movement had to be different, your looks, your a smile in the dire times, you give a little smirk, but how do you hide it? Damn fly. How do you hide it? Don't bother me. How do you hide it everywhere but here? And so it was an incredible. Both were an incredible experience. There's another film that unfortunately the director did not want me to be a part of. I'm kidding. Cut that out.
He's speaking of family theme, but I'll be honest with you. Gio wanted to write you into it, and I said, G, we're already putting him in 2 movies. Put him in 3 in the space of 1 week. It's going to be a bit much. Plus, you were hidden in Scarecrow. We didn't want your face in every single one.
Of course, no. That was a joke.
It would pull people.
That was
out
a terrible
of it,
joke.
So.
I used to be witty, and it just, I don't know what happened.
No, it still works.
But I have read Family Feud, and I think, honestly, I think you guys have an incredible group of stories here. I think you're going to have something that will appeal to each audience, that will impact, each individual person in some unique way. But all 3 of them, and yes, I'm here, I'm a part of it, so maybe I'm biased. But the truth is that this is what horror is, and this is what horror should be, and it's Mutantville, and I'm honored to have been this gentleman. I'm honored to have been Father Connor McLennan, and I'm honored to be a part of this anthology. I think it's an incredible thing. I don't blow smoke, I don't kiss ass, I don't believe in it. I think it's done too much. But if it all ends tomorrow, I was able to play a scythe-wielding psychopath, and there's nothing better than being able to damn fly. There's nothing better than being able to just have fun while you work.
Absolutely. Well, I'm very proud of what you did with Sawbones. You really brought that character to life. With slashers, it's too easy to fall into a mode of being generic. You have a mask, you've got black gloves, you have a knife. You just stalk around and you stab people, but you really imbued the character with life, with a personality of sorts. And even though you are only on screen for a very little bit of time, it impacts, it hits you, and when it's over, you want more. And in my mind, that's what you want as a filmmaker. You want to leave the audience begging for more. The production designer remarked to me that she got creeped out on the set when we were in the external shot in the field. We were shooting in the field at night, and you were practicing your walk. And she said that the character totally came to life and it totally creeped her out. And it's just a testament to your professionalism and talent.
I greatly appreciate that. I think the amazing thing is that I was scared to death of the dark, because I'd watch all this stuff. My parents would say no, 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 and we'd go to the video store and I'd be like, yes, please. And it would be guilt trips, it'd be like, please, And so I saw this stuff, and it was, what is in the darkness? And it's kind of like, if you don't have a payoff of what is in that darkness, then you've lost something. So the fact that you feel like the darkness came alive, even if for only a little bit, that means everything to me as an actor, because I feel like I've done something right. But I would love to do it again. I'd love to play Sawbones again, because it was well, I really would, because it's fun to become something else in such a hidden way, but to be so apparent. I know I'm trying to be intellectual, but it was
sorry,
it was
we do
amazing
that all
thing.
the time.
Yeah. Buy the movie.
For me, it was important to make this movie something that was obviously an homage to the past. It paid homage to its tradition of slasher films, but it was also supposed to be something new. And I wanted the character of Sawbones and that its whole little world to feel like it was worthy of consideration. If not alongside, somewhere way below Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, all the great slashers, Leatherface, and I feel like it's a very unique character, and we owe you a lot for bringing that to us.
I greatly appreciate it. I was curious because as soon as I was in, I was like, okay, now that I know, now that I'm in this moment, oh no, you know, how can, and so it's, you know, it's practicing to decide how do you hold it. Do you hold it backwards? Do you hold it forward? There was, like I said, there was that one thing missing, but it wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for the costume. You know, if it wasn't for what was done in it. You know, it's disconcerting. It's truly terrifying to see something that's so contorted, but is fast. You know, that scares you. You know, I mean, if this was chasing me, I wouldn't man up and be like, yes, bring it. I would be like, oh god, you know, and I would be gone.
What the hell
but
is going
because
on?
it's like a pit bull. It's a scrapper, but hopefully, even though everything's covered, hopefully you see like a subtle enjoyment in it. I mean, that was my hope, but I loved it. So
Very cool.